Hello everyone, this is Anish Kumar from SVCE ISA department. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and the topic which we're going to discuss about today is file concept and access methods. So without any further delay, let's just get started. The contents. What and all we're going to discuss about today? Firstly, we'll start with file concept, file structure, file type, types of files, access methods, and different accessing methods. Firstly, we'll just start with file concept, like what is a file, what are the basic things you should be knowing about a file. We'll just get started with it. A file is a collection of related information that is recorded on secondary storage, such as magnetic disks, magnetic tapes, and optical disks. These are very similar to whatever files you'll be having in real life. Like, I guess you'll be having files that contain all your certificates. Like you've passed your 10th, you'll have a certificate. You'll pass your 11th, and you'll have a certificate. Like all these certificates, you'll actually keep it in a file and store it in a very safe environment, so it won't be stolen by anyone or something. So it's very similar to that one, but in software ways. So it is a sequence of bits, bytes, lines, or records whose meaning is defined by the file's creator and user. Like however the user wants, he just defines it in that way, and that is a file. Like whatever the user wants, he just does that with the file, and he just shares it with other people, and even the other people can access the file in a similar way. So we can see in this diagram, like we write a C program to write or just change the contents of a particular file, and then the file is stored in a disk, and we can actually view or read the contents of that particular file from the disk. Next up, we have file structures. A file structure should be according to a required format that the operating system can understand. Like, if you're actually given a file that the operating system does not understand, then it's of no use, because that operating system needs to understand, and only then your file can be accessed, or the data can be written, or it can be changed, and all that. A file has a certain defined structure according to its type. A text file is a sequence of characters organized into lines. A source file is a sequence of procedures and functions. An object file is a sequence of bytes organized into blocks that are understandable by the machine. When the operating system defines different file structures, it also contains the code to support these file structures. Unix, MS-DOS support minimum number of file structures. Like we wouldn't want that to happen. We want an operating system that actually can support maximum number of file structures. So we can actually give in different files, and it will be easy for the operating system to access those files. So file types. File type refer to the ability of the operating system to distinguish different types of files such as text files, source files, and binary files, etc. Like normally, some or the other day you guys might have wondered like how many types of files do actually exist, because you might have seen many different types of files in your day-to-day lives, and many operating systems support many types of files. Like that's what we want. We want an operating system which actually supports many types of files, so we can give in different types of files, and the operating system should be efficient to actually distinguish between all those and process the data whatever we want. Types of files, like mostly three types of files exist. Firstly, the ordinary files, next up the directory files, and lastly special files. So we'll just look into what are these types. Firstly, ordinary files. These files are the files that contain user information. These may have text, databases, or executable programs. The user can apply various operations on such files like add, modify, delete, or even remove the entire file. Like obviously, you can change the contents, you can add any content, you can remove the content, or if you don't like it, you can just delete the file. Directory files. These files contain list of file names and other information related to these files. A directory is a container that is used to contain folders and files. Like you can store all your files in a particular directory, and it'll actually keep it safe. It organizes files and folders in a hierarchical manner. Like we follow a particular order in which the files are stored. For example, it can actually store it name wise, like alphabetical order wise. Like normally when you given a particular file in your laptop, like it saves it in a hierarchical manner. For example, the names. A file whose name starts with A is given first priority, it's kept at the top, and a file whose name starts with Z is kept at the bottom. So that's what it follows. Next up, we have the special files. These files are known as device files. These files represent physical devices such as disks, terminals, printers, networks, tape drives, etc. These files are of two types: character special files, in which the data is handled character by character, As in the case of terminals of printer, we can see this. And block special files. Data is handled in blocks, as in the case of disks and tapes. So the access methods. What is a file if we can't access it? Does it even have any use? I don't think so. So we'll actually want access methods by which we can access these files. And an access method defines the technique that is used to store and retrieve data. Access methods have their own dataset structures to organize data, macros to define and process datasets, and utility programs to process datasets. The portion of computer's operating system responsible for formatting datasets and their direction to specific storage devices. Examples from the mainframe world includes virtual storage access method and indexed sequential access methods. So what are the different accessing methods? Now we know what the accessing method is and the different accessing methods that can be followed by us. Like there are mainly three: sequential access, direct access, and indexed access. Firstly, we have sequential access. It is the simplest accessing method, and also for me, it's the most irritating accessing method because if you actually want to access file number 7, you have to go through all the previous files. Like example, you have to access file number 7, then you have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and only then you can access file or record number 7. So information in file is processed in order, like sequential order. That's how the name is derived. One record after the other, like obviously 1, 2, 3, one record after the other. Editors and compilers usually access files in this manner. Compilers, like you write a C program, what does a compiler do? It actually goes line by line. It starts with line number 1, then it goes to the next line, goes to the third line, and the subsequent lines. That's what the compiler follows. It is used in tape drives and CDs. Sequential access actually uses lots of common terms. Like these are the terms that are commonly used in the case of sequential access: read next, read record, and moves pointer to the next position. Write next, write and advances to the next position. Rewind, moving back to the earlier location. Skip and record, it skips a few records and just moves to the particular location or record whatever we want. So this is actually trash because it takes a lot of time. In most of the cases, this is not preferred. What do we prefer? We prefer direct access. The name itself suggests direct access. We can directly go to file number 7 if we want. We need not go through all the previous files or records. We can directly access record number 7. So it is based on disk model, since disk allow random access to any file block. Like we can randomly or with our will we can go to any record directly without actually worrying about the previous records. No restrictions on the order of reading or writing for a direct file access file. Very useful for accessing large amount of information. If we actually have large amount of information, then we need not worry because we can directly access the record that we want. It does not matter how big your directory is. We can access the file or record what we want. File operation must be modified to include block number as a parameter. Used in databases, SSDs, and HDDs. So you all might have come across these terms, SSDs and HDDs, while buying your laptops. So these are the terms which are normally used buying the laptops. You might have come across. Like, what does that mean? SSDs actually stand for solid state drives, and HDD stands for hard disk drives. What are preferred? SSDs are preferred for many various reasons, but that's not my topic right now. So we'll just stick to the topic. Direct access actually has instructions such as read n, reads the content in block n, write n, writes the content in block n, jump to the record n, jumps directly to the required record. As you can see in this diagram, sequential access actually goes through all the files in a sequential manner and only then it reaches a particular record. Whereas random access is also known by the name direct access, like they're the same. So you guys shouldn't be confusing about this, like they're the same. So random access can directly access any record. And finally, we have indexed access. In this method, records are stored in the file using the primary key. An index value is generated for each primary key and mapped with the record. This index contains the address of the record in the file. For example, your friend is actually lost in a crowd. Yeah, example Tirupati. Yeah, your friend is just lost in Tirupati ka crowd, and you have to call him to actually locate him. What do? You call his name. So It'll be unlucky if his name is Govinda, like you'll be calling Govinda and the crowd goes like Govinda, Govinda, like yeah, it might be a problem, but yeah, you call him by his name. So what is the name here? It's a key here. You can actually access the file with the key name here. So it actually has pros and cons. And the pros include searching a record in a huge database is quick and easy, like you can just access the file with its key. This method supports range retrieval and partial retrieval of records. It directly selects the record which we want to access instead of going through all the records. The cons. This method requires extra space in the disk to store the index value. These are not actually recommended if storage is actually an issue. When we actually go through new records, okay, I'm sorry. When new records are inserted, then these files have to be reconstructed to maintain the sequence. When the record is deleted, then the space by it needs to be released. Otherwise, the performance of the database will slow down. We don't want that to happen at any cost. We want our particular performance of the database to be speeded up and not actually slow down. So this was it. Hope you guys enjoyed this session. Hope you guys gained the knowledge whatever you were looking for, and you got an idea about file concept and what are the accessing methods. So hope it was helpful for you guys. I'll be back with another video shortly. Stay tuned till then. Thank you.